Thoughts That Will Snap Your Mind in Half by Izzy Fan 2021. Sunny lightly groaned as a creaking sound disturbed her beauty sleep. The room was pitch black. Nothing within 2 feet in front of the earth pony could be seen with the naked eye. The room was full of soft snoring as every pony in the room seemed to be off in dreamland. But a speck of light caught the corner of her dark vision. Sitting upright in her bed and squinting her sensitive eyes, she could see that the bedroom door was half open. "What?" was all Sunny's tired, quiet voice could mutter. Noticing that no pony else was awake to notice the cracked door, she slowly got out of bed to go and close the door. On approach to the partially open door, Sunny stopped as she heard the faint sounds of hooves clopping. Was some pony heading down the stairs? Carefully, she creaked the door further open and peeked her head out. The earth pony immediately noticed Izzy at the bottom of the stairs, slowly trotting towards the living room. "Izzy?" Sunny's whisper seemed to not grab the attention of the unicorn. Concerned, Sunny fully opened the door and quietly started her way down one of the 2 staircases towards the Brighthouse's living quarters. Once on the first floor, she turned toward the living room between the 2 staircases, noticing Izzy lying down upon one of the couches staring up at the ceiling. Sunny approached the foot of the couch, noticing that Izzy's eyes were half open and wearing heavy bags underneath them. Now wearing a concerned look on her face, the earth pony quietly said, "Izzy? You okay there, buddy?" Izzy either didn't seem to notice her friend standing at the foot of the sofa or just didn't seem to care about her presence. But the unicorn didn't move a muscle, continuing to stare aimlessly at the Brighthouse's ceiling, the earth pony's concern growing rapidly. She tried to get her attention again. Izzy?" "Dude," Izzy finally spoke, her voice sounding low and raspy. "If I weigh 99 pounds and eat a pound of pony corn, am I 1% pony corn?" Sunny's concerned face immediately turned into that of a poker face as the random question caught her completely off guard. "What? If you drop soap on the floor," Izzy continued, still staring up at the ceiling, "is the floor clean or is the soap dirty?" The earth pony was now in a state of confusion as her tired brain tried to process the information. "Izzy, what are you talking about?" "Bro, which orange came first? The colour or the fruit?" Sunny raised an eyebrow. "Huh?" Her eyes then widened. "Oh, wait, you have a point there. If 2 vegans are arguing, is it still considered beef?" It took a second for Sunny to process if she was just having a really absurd dream or if Izzy was having some kind of episode. She chose the latter. Izzy, was there something in that chocolate milk you drank at dinner?" "If you were born deaf," the unicorn continued, pushing Sunny's question under the rug, "what language would you think in?" Sunny's brain started crumbling from beneath her. As those questions started to snap her thought processes in half. Izzy, however, still continued her thought-piercing questions, seeming unbothered by what her questions were doing to her friend's brain. "If you get out of the shower clean, how does your towel get dirty?" The earth pony's eye twitched. Is... Bro, if the number 2 pencil is the most popular pencil, why is it still number 2? With that last question, Sunny's brain finally gave way. Zip peeked out the open bedroom door. Despite the dark environment, the Pegasus was able to notice both Sunny and Izzy on the couches in the living quarters, both of them seeming to be asleep. "Sunny! Izzy!" Zip's whispers seemed to not catch the attention of the Earth Pony and Unicorn. Zip trotted down the stairs and towards the living quarters. Upon reaching the first floor, she quietly approached the couches. "Girls?" she whispered again, earning a slight movement from Sunny, who now seemed to stir awake from the Pegasus. "I don't know why you guys want to sleep down here, but I hope you guys realize that you left your bedroom door open." Now getting a clear look at Sunny, she noticed that something was terribly wrong. Heavy bags hung under her eyes, which were slightly bloodshot. They stared aimlessly at the ceiling, seeming lost in her thoughts. Zip approached the Earth Pony, concern quickly growing in her. "Sunny? Why?" Sunny's tired voice muttered. "Why must life be so confusing? What even is life?" The white Pegasus took a second to process what her seemingly sleep-deprived friend had just said. Zip stared wide-eyed at the Earth Pony, now concerned as much to both her physical and mental state. "Sunny? You okay there, buddy?" Sunny didn't reply, instead pointing a hoof towards the neighbouring couch upon which Izzy lay. Zip noticed that Izzy seemed in better condition than Sunny, and she too was staring aimlessly at the ceiling with half-open eyelids. Now concerned for the unicorn's well-being, Zip began to approach Izzy's couch. Iz, you feeling okay?" No reply. Izzy? "Dude," Izzy finally spoke, still in a low-pitched, raspy voice. "When we yawn, do deaf ponies think we're screaming?" Zip paused, raising an eyebrow at Izzy's question. "Wait, huh?" "If you're waiting for the waiter," continued Izzy, "aren't you the waiter?" The Pegasus wasn't quite sure if what she was hearing was really real or just her tired brain trying to process a simple sentence. Either way, she stood there for a moment pondering those questions. "Where in Equestria did you pull that from?" Zip questioned. "No pony knows," Sunny spoke, still staring at the ceiling with wide eyes, with the occasional eye twitch. "All we could do now is listen and ponder as these questions penetrate our minds with their seemingly endless and unsolvable answers. We think ponies with eyeglasses look smart, when in reality they fail the test to get them." Zip's lips parted, about to spit out a sentence, but closed quickly. Thinking for a moment, she finally came up with a response appropriate for the sentence's continuity. "Good point there. Dude, why does fat chance and slim chance mean the same thing?" Zip's ears perked up in surprise. "I don't know. Maybe laziness in our language? My guy, how do you throw away a garbage can?" The Pegasus then grabbed her head as a massive headache started spreading around her skull. "Please stop," she pleaded. "My brain hurts." "If you buy a bigger bed, you're left with more bedroom, but less bedroom." Finally, with that last statement, the Pegasus's brain broke in half. Pip Petals flew out of the room at great speed, reaching the first floor within seconds. "Is any pony hurt?" she cried. "I heard a shout!" She was met with a sight she wasn't ever expecting to see at 3 o'clock in the morning. Sunny laying on the couch, staring up at the ceiling. On the floor, next to the couch, Zip also lay staring at the sky. Across from them, Izzy also lay on a couch, staring up. The pink Pegasus princess took a second to process what she was looking at, but that didn't really explain the shouting that woke her up from her deep sleep. Everything seemed calm at first, But Pip knew something wasn't aligning correctly upon seeing the sleepless looks from her friends. "Sis?" she whispered. "Life is confusing," Zip said, seeming to ignore her sister. Pip cocked her head in confusion. So many questions started flying through her mind at that moment. Glancing over at Sunny, she didn't seem better than Zip. What in Equestria was going on with these two? Are you girls okay?" she asked. "What happened to y'all?" Zip, still staring upwards, pointed a hoof to Izzy. "That's what happened to us." Pip turned her head towards the unicorn, who looked as if she had seen better days prior to this. Now curious, Pip began to approach Izzy, ready to ask her what in the hay was going on here. "Izzy?" she began. No reply. She tried again. "Izzy, you there?" "Dude," Izzy finally spoke, still in a low, sleepless voice. "Why is bacon called bacon and cookies called cookies if you cook bacon and bake cookies?" The princess was caught off guard by the question, but her confused expression quickly turned into that of inspiration. "Wait, that actually is a good point." "Don't encourage her," Zip cut her sister off. "You'll only make things worse," Sunny finished. "Bro," Izzy continued, "why aren't iPhone chargers just called apple juice?" Pip's eyes widened. "I know, right?" She shook her head with a little frown. "Such a missed opportunity." "When you clean a vacuum cleaner, aren't you the vacuum cleaner?" The pig Pegasus put a hoof under her chin. "Another good point there, Izzy." Her wonder, however, was short-lived, as it was quickly replaced with confusion. "Wait, why are you asking me these questions anyway?" "Nothing is really on fire, but rather fire is on things." Now, Pip was starting to get a small headache as her brain tried to process both Izzy's questions and why at Equestria she was even asking them in the first place. I don't know what to say at this point. If life is unfair to every pony, does that mean life is actually fair?" The Pegasus's eye began twitching, her brain mentally crumbling by the second. Why do they make sense, yet don't at the same time?" "Her brain is built different," Sunny spoke. "Dude, if I get scared half to death twice, what then?" And with that final question, the small Pegasus's brain imploded. Misty gasped. Viewing from the top of the stairs, she saw that every other resident of the Brighthouse was gathered in the living room, all lying down with blank expressions on their faces. What had originally been a mission to get a glass of water for herself had just turned into an investigation as she galloped down the stairs to check on her friends. "Girls!" she cried. "What happened?" Upon a closer inspection, the unicorn knew something was definitely off. Zip and Pip lay on the cold floor, both staring up towards the ceiling. Sunny and Izzy were the same story, except they were on the couches. It was clear to Misty that they all looked sleep-deprived. But was that really the answer? "Life," Pip began, sounding like she had lost everything, "is such a grey blur." "You said it," Zip and Sunny said in unison, also sounding empty inside. Misty cocked her head in confusion. This didn't look like sleep deprivation. She then noticed out of everyone in the room, Izzy seemed to be in better condition, despite having heavy bags under her half-closed eyes. She approached Izzy, wondering if she might have any idea as to what's happening. "Izzy, do you know what's happening with every pony? Why are they acting so strange?" No reply came from the hazel pink unicorn. "Bro, The unicorn's low tone of voice spoke. Have you ever felt bugs on you? When there were no bugs on you? They're the ghosts of the bugs you killed. The light blue unicorn's eyes widened a bit as a frown grew from her mouth. That's kinda sad to think about. Kinda funny how being down for something and up for something mean the same thing. Misty raised an eyebrow but shrugged at the statement. Guess I never thought about it like that before. Why is the pizza box a square if the pizza is a circle and the slice is a triangle? Misty's brain started spazzing out as these questions started to over-process her frontal lobe. Izzy, why are you asking me these questions? If you're in the living room and you pass away, did you die or are you just knocked out? Her eye twitched a bit. I don't know. The only thing that's about to pass away here is your brain, Zip said. Yo, why is it called a building if it's already built? Misty didn't reply. What could she reply with? What should she reply with? She didn't know. All she could do at that moment was listen and let her brain crumble. How does a sponge hold water if it's full of holes? Finally, with that last mind-breaking question, the unicorn's brain exploded. The early morning sun shone through the windows of the Brighthouse. In the living room, Sunny, Zip, Pip, and Misty still lay on their backs staring up at the ceiling. None of them have gotten any sleep thanks to Izzy's mind-snapping statements and questions. Speaking of whom, while everyone was wide awake with broken brains, Izzy was now fast asleep on the couch, snoring loudly like a middle-aged father. Soon enough, the unicorn's eyes slowly opened as a long yawn escaped her maw. She sat up on the couch, noticing that she was now sleeping in the living room. It also wasn't hard to notice all her friends in the room with her also. Despite this, she smiled and greeted them. Morning, ponies! She waved a hoof. All she got in response was long consecutive moans as every pony tried to stay awake despite their broken braids. Sunny was the first of them to look Izzy in the eyes for the first time in hours. Izzy? Upon laying eyes on her earth pony friend, Izzy cringed a bit as she noticed how disheveled her mane looked and the heavy bags under her eyes. Oof, Sunny, you don't look so hot. Didn't get enough sleep? Sunny's eyes widened. Izzy? You're back to normal. Izzy cocked her head, clearly confused. What? Normal? What do you mean? Zip then sat up from the cold tiled floor. What Izzy means is that last night you were acting extremely weird. Izzy's curiosity now piqued. Wired? How wired? Pip then sat up beside her sister. Well, how do I describe it? She put a hoof under her chin. Misty then sat next to Pip. Levels of weird that exceed the charts. Okay, now I'm confused, Izzy said. What did I do that you'll call weird? Sunny volunteered to explain the entire situation that unfolded the night before. Well, after I heard the creaking of the door at around 3 a.m, I got out of bed and saw you trotting towards the living room. I tried to check on you, and while you did look awake, you weren't responding to me. Izzy pondered. Sounds like I was sleepwalking. Sleepwalking? The entire group said in unison. The unicorn nodded. Yes, as somebody who suffers from insomnia, sleepwalking was bound to happen to me at some point. Izzy then raised an eyebrow. But that doesn't explain why I woke up to find you all down here with me. What happened? That's where the part of us calling you weird comes into play, Sunny spoke. You see, while you didn't Respond to me? That's when you started... She paused. Started what? That's when you started spitting out all these questions and statements that snapped all our minds in half. Zip finished. The unicorn stared at the Pegasus for a moment, a blank expression stamped on her face. Then she immediately burst into laughter, confusing her friends. Oh, Zipper-doodle, you're so funny. Like that's actually what happened. Izzy, Zip's serious, Sunny said. You did really start saying all these random questions and statements that really did make our minds crumble with confusion and sheer awe. Oh, really? Izzy asked, sounding doubtful. What kind of questions could my sleepwalking self ask you that could really snap every pony's brains? Sunny sighed, remembering all the torment her mind went through from Izzy's sleeping statements. Nevertheless, she was the one to start. Well, if I weigh 99 pounds and eat a pound of pony corn, am I 1% pony corn? Really? Izzy stared at the earth pony with an unimpressed face. Stuff like that? Not only that, Zip stepped up. If you're waiting for the waiter, aren't you the waiter? Izzy's face then went blank. Pip was next. If I get scared half to death twice, what then? Now the unicorn was starting to get it, with her brain now beginning to fry a bit. How does a sponge hold water if it's full of holes? Misty finished. Okay, I get it. Izzy gave up. Her brain was now partially scarred by those simple yet mind-bending questions. Well, that was definitely weird. That's what we all thought, Sunny said. But at least it's over. Izzy smiled. Yes. She then leaned into her ear, whispering loud enough for every pony around her to hear. For now, she winked. The group stared at her, wide-eyed. An evil-looking grin grew on her face. The room was silent for a few moments. Then, Izzy burst into laughter. Soon enough, the rest of the group joined in as the entire room was filled with loud laughter. But hiding under her laughing fits, there was still that lingering feeling inside them, as if they knew that this wasn't the last time this was going to happen. Author's note: this was very fun to write, and I hope you all enjoyed it. As stated before, all these questions came from Ryan Lombard. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel.
It was 3 in the morning, the house fast asleep. She trotted down quiet, her thoughts running deep. Eyes full of wonder, her voice calm and slow. But the things that she said, they fractured the flow. She spoke at 3 a.m. and reason cracked. They smiled at first, then never looked back. One by one they forgot what was real as her words unwound the way ponies feel. No spells, no potions, no villainous plan, just thoughts that no pony could quite understand. They gathered around her, hearts open and kind, and left with a different shape in their mind. She meant no harm, she meant no fight, but every sentence shifted light. Not nightmares, not screams, just silence instead, the sort of quiet that echoes in your head. She spoke at 3 a.m. and time stood still. The coffee went cold and minds got ill. No answers came, no meaning stayed. They stared at the wall till it slowly decayed. She's back in bed, curled up just right, but they're still awake beneath the light.
It's the Mystery Pony Fiction channel. Mystery. Also available as a podcast on Spotify. Pony. And Izzy Moonbow is best pony, by the way. Fiction. Bro, hoof, comment, subscribe.